Welcome to another episode of Art and Prayer. I am Reverend Rob McPherson. Today we will be praying with Robert Bateman's painting, The Pool of Bethesda. Bateman was part of the Pre-Raphaelite movement, a group of artists that wanted to take art back to an earlier time. They wanted their art to be more natural and realistic, like the medieval artists that they admired. Like those earlier artists, they incorporated a great deal of religious and moral symbolism in their work. This then is where we want to focus, not on the literal image, but what it represents, especially how it communicates an element of the human condition and our spiritual need. Let me read the scripture and then I will explain as we look at the painting. This is John chapter 5, verses 2 through 9. In Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, there is a pool with 5 porticos. Its Hebrew name is Bethesda. The place was crowded with sick people, those who were blind, lame, or paralyzed, lying there waiting for the water to move. An angel of God would come down to the pool from time to time to stir up the water. The first one to step into the water after it had been stirred up would be completely healed. One person there had been sick for 38 years. Jesus, who knew this person had been sick for a long time, said, "Do you want to be healed?" "Rabbi," the sick one answered, "I don't have anyone to put me into the pool once the water has been stirred up. By the time I get there, someone else has gone in ahead of me." Jesus replied, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk." The individual was immediately healed and picked up the mat and walked away. This is the scene of our painting. Specifically, it depicts one of the moments when the angel is approaching the perfectly still pool of Bethesda. In its hands, the angel holds a branch with leaves and round berries, or perhaps olives, which it will use to stir the waters. It descends a stairway that seems to be reserved for its sacred task. No one else rests on these special stairs. A Roman soldier watches over the pool, the superintendent of the place. His sword is hung on the wall next to him. He is not expecting trouble. This is not a place of battle, but a place of peace. Through the open doorway, we can see crawling the ever-hopeful but always disappointed man who has suffered for 38 years. It looks like he will be late once again, because at the edge of the pool, there are already several sick people waiting for the rippling of the pool so that they can be the first into the healing waters. The nearest person, who is so close that he is about to reach out and touch the waters, even has a friend to help him into the waters. There are many other small details. There are lilies in the water, symbols of life and death, renewal and purity. This is the promise for the one who enters the pool at the right time. In the lower right is an item on a chain that intrigues me. Chains are often symbols of bondage or burdens. Notably, Jesus is absent. He is not here yet. Again, Don't think about the painting as a literal representation of the biblical scene, but a meditation upon its themes of waiting, suffering, hope, divine intervention. Look around the painting and think of these themes. Look for things that intrigue you. Consider how they might relate to those themes. Having looked for a while, what does this painting capture for you about the human condition? Where and when are we as human beings awaiting the stirring of healing waters in our lives? Where and when are we often disappointed? Let's make this more personal, moving from the general human condition to your own life. How does this painting symbolize your waiting and your hope, perhaps your frustration? Find a detail in the painting that represents God's response to your waiting and your hope. What is it about this detail that makes it feel like a response from God? Hold on to that image, that detail, as I read the passage again. This time, don't listen for the story. Instead, listen for words that fit with the detail, the image you selected to represent God's response. You are listening for God's response. Those words that carry a message from God to you. In Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, there is a pool with 5 porticos. Its Hebrew name is Bethesda. The place was crowded with sick people, those who were blind, lame, or paralyzed, lying there waiting for the water to move. An angel would come down to the pool from time to time to stir up the water. The first one to step into the water after it had been stirred up would be completely healed. One person there had been sick for 38 years. Jesus, who knew this person had been sick for a long time, said, "Do you want to be healed?" "Rabbi," the sick one answered, "I don't have anyone to put me into the pool once the water has been stirred up. By the time I get there, someone else has gone in ahead of me." Jesus replied, "Stand up, pick up your mat and walk." The individual was immediately healed and picked up the mat and walked away. The words will be shown again. Keep looking for those words that carry God's message to you. As we look at the painting again, I want us to exercise our imaginations for a moment. Imagine now that Jesus has arrived in the painting. He's pointing to the detail you selected as representing God's response. And he is speaking the words from Scripture that carry God's message for you. What other words of hope does he offer to you? Keep listening. Give him time to really speak to you about your situation and God's response. What do you want to say? What do you need to say to Jesus in this moment? You have shared with God, but now be silent and listen as God moves within your inmost thoughts. What else does God have to say to you? Finish up your time of prayer. If you need more time, pause the video. Thank God for being present with you and commit yourself to remembering God's words for you. What I appreciate about the Pre-Raphaelites is that they were trying to convey meaning beyond the literal image. They wanted us to reflect upon the human condition and the nature of faith. Looking at this particular painting allows me to think about the places where I have been waiting for God's healing, and times when I have been frustrated because I can't do it myself. It encourages me to listen for God's message of hope, that God is often at work in unseen ways. What about you? What did you gain from this time? Would you share it with me in the comments? I'd love to know how God is moving in your prayer life. If you found this episode meaningful, I hope you will share it with someone else that you think would benefit from it. Until next week, be blessed.